Good evening. I call to order this council meeting of May the 8th. Welcome. We're glad to have you. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll?
Mr. Shiland? Mr. Moore?
Present.
Ms. Reclue?
Present.
Mr. Shiverdecker?
Here.
Mr. Simmons?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Present.
Mr. Vaughn?
Here.
And Mr. Braun.
Here.
7 council members present, 1 absent.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. If you'd rise with me for the invocation. Pastor Bruce Williamson is with us this evening, and Pastor, when you finish the invocation, if you just lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, I'd appreciate it.
I'll take care of it. Thank you, sir. Father, we're grateful for this beautiful day and for the privilege we have to be together to witness the work in our community and those, Lord, that lead it. We live in a rural farming community, and I do want to remember the many farmers. Agriculture is a big part of our community. And there's a promise of rain tonight, and it's really needed all around us. So, Lord, if you're willing, I just pray that you'll water the crop fields, the pastures, the gardens, and all areas where we need a good moisture supply. I lift up, Lord, all of those that are connected to the city family, but my list is not exhaustive. I do want to continue to remember Mayor Benton, Chief Myers, Mr. and Mrs. Reclue, Mr. Chiland, Mr. Moore, and any other that are part of our city family who need a special touch from the Lord to keep them strong and encouraged. I lift up this session tonight, and I pray, dear God, that you'll bless the discussions that are held, any decisions that are made. We pray, Lord, that they're made through wisdom and they'll be pleasing to you. We all want to thank you for the community we live in and for the blessings of life. My final prayer is for those that are working now in 80-degree heat, working on the infrastructure and all the boots on the ground that work for our city. We ask that you bless them and protect them from what will probably be another hot, dry summer. We thank you for your love and strength in Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Attention, salute, let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor. Appreciate it. At the beginning of every council meeting, we set aside a time for visitors to come before the council and share any concern they may have within the city. And we just ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes and give us your name and your address. So at this time, I'll make the call for anyone who'd like to visit with us. Good evening, Ms. Gray. Good to see you again.
Greetings. Tonight you all are going to discuss resolution number 3305. This is giving a contract to HVAC company out of Kansas City for the scout cabin. How many times do we preach buy local, shop local, blah, 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 local, support your community? You're going to Kansas City and get somebody. I realize this is based on a bid, the best bid that comes in. But wouldn't the best bid be keep the money here? Whoever works here, the money will stay here. It won't go back to Kansas City, it'll stay here. And that's my concern over getting somebody out of Kansas City to do this. Then my second concern is this 3306, and it's reference to AARP. And at the bottom you say a monetary match. What's the dollar amount on that monetary match? What kind of money do we have to come up with to match this? That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Gray.
you.
Okay, very good. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. And it appears there's one item on the consent agenda which has to do with the Callaway County Crop Hunger Walk on October the 7th. So I'm not going to ask if you'd like to take it off consent agenda, because if we have any questions, feel free to follow on through.
Well, if no one has an objection, I move that we approve the consent agenda because the police Police chief's weather attached pretty much answered all my questions.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion of the motion or any questions?
Question.
Sure.
Was you gonna do beavers under this?
I think we decided we'd just do that next meeting. We have plenty of time.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for that reminder. Okay, any other comments or concerns? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good, thank you. Now move on to unfinished business and pre-authorization of the grant that we just had the work session on. Any additional questions or comments on that?
We want to get the engineers started as there is a short time period for them to put the application together. If this is approved this evening, next council meeting, we will come back with a resolution authorizing the expenditure as well with the dollar amount. And right now, it's the engineers indicated will not exceed 20,000.
Is there any opportunity to just go ahead and include that maximum expenditure in our current resolution? And just
It'll be a
done?
resolution next meeting.
Well, okay.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to proceed with the grant?
Motion to proceed with the grant.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to proceed with the grant. Any further discussion? Another motion? Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good, thank you. We'll move on to new business. Old warehouse, Kyle, we're going to call on you again tonight. It's your night.
His night, yep.
I think it's going to be your night
Oh,
quite a
Yeah.
while till
What you get for
July.
not being here last night?
I was here last meeting.
Was you?
I didn't see you Friday night, though.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was not there. The old warehouse. We're finalizing our project to tear down the structure of the old warehouse. That's the middle structure that's obviously dilapidated.
Yeah.
And in our conversations about tearing down that structure, the slab of that structure, the foundation slab of it has been discussed. We've been advised to leave that slab where it's at. Reason being is that if the advice is that if we rip out that slab, given the history of that site and what that site has been, that there could be some nasty stuff underneath of it.
Oh.
And once we open up that can of worms, it doesn't get closed till it's remediated. So,
Has it been?
So we would take off everything basically above ground, leave the slab and foundation for someone, a later council and administration to deal with.
and right now we're,
there's no plans to convert that site into anything but what it is at the
Right.
moment, so there's no need
And-
to worry about remediation.
And Kyle said we should probably not even do any test drillings or
Yeah.
take any samples.
So I was wondering.
Because once we know, we know. We can't, there's no way to unknow,
That's right. Once you know, you got to deal with it. Right.
okay?
As long as you're not changing the function of the spot, you don't have to worry about it.
So I don't know if we're looking for a motion from you or anything, but we're just letting you, this is more for informational
There would-
purposes only.
Is the slab, with the slab there, is the site usable for something else?
Sure.
Could be.
I don't know, I mean,
Potentially.
you just,
yeah,
It would,
potentially the slab could be used for
but
another.
it could remain industrial. As
Steel
long as it
structure.
remains
Okay.
industrial, then we're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think as left as it is, we may have to do some safety measures. I mean, there is some elevation changes in that building, 4 foot or a little more. So we may have to do a few safety measures or bring in some dirt or something
But we could
to
use
make
that slab
drop
to
off.
build another building on if we needed to,
Potentially, yeah.
or, yeah, okay.
That whole-
What's your estimated time on that project?
Good question. We haven't put that together yet.
We've
We're
got it.
putting the language in there, and Richard out of our office, we've kind of hit a stall point because we wanted to get past this point. But, I don't think it'll take too long to do.
If my memory serves me correct, we have money in the budget, the 2018 budget to take it down.
I just wanted
So,
Yeah, As long as we can get some willing
I'd like to see
contractors
us
to bid
get
on it, I
down.
don't think it'll be a very, I don't think it'll be a very long time frame now. Where they go with the material and all that kind of thing is
Just,
Gonna be
a
an
lot of
issue.
that structure is rock, and we want to find someplace else for the rock. We don't want to have to haul the rock to the landfill and pay, $35 a ton to put it in the landfill. So
Correct.
we'll try and have them sorted out somewhat to do some separation.
What's gonna happen with all the other structures?
Right. Good question.
Well,
Nobody knows yet.
two of the structures are currently rented. The lean-to in the northwest corner that JC used to park his trucks in is probably something, if we just chose to, we could take down in-house. It's just a pole barn and tin. The Parks and Recs building is probably the same thing. It's just a wood structure with tin on it. We could, half a day with a backhoe, that building could disappear. We just have to make those decisions on.
Well, don't run that backhoe in that one thing, get former mayor all bent out of shape.
We have no intention of touching the beehive or the chimney.
So, those rocks that you said, some of those you might get away to the citizens if you want to take the risk of them picking them up themselves when you pile them up. Good fencing rows in your front yard.
We will explore multiple options to avoid having to pay to put them in the landfill.
it's like Kyle said earlier about the downtown, it's a blank sheet of paper. We just need to figure out what to put on it. We're still waiting for, typically folks come to us with options or what they see.
I'll make a motion and go ahead and
Okay.
Second.
use our money and get rid of it.
Thank you. I have a motion to proceed with demolition until we, at least with getting bids. Any further discussion of that motion?
Why wouldn't sit down?
Very good.
This camera's got to be-
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, the yeses have it. We'll proceed with that. Traffic calming device discussion. Kyle, you want to lead this one again? I think that came through the traffic commission.
Kyle, you need a stool?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Mr.
Just don't hold on to that podium real tight.
I'll back away. We had a discussion in the traffic commission meeting about traffic calming and using potential radar speed signs, like say at Wood Street to try to calm traffic in that area. Those are basically speed signs that show how fast you're going, and maybe can flash and say, slow down, depending on what model we get. But it'd be a traffic calming tool that we have to help slow traffic down in different areas of the community.
Would that be a portable? Are you thinking
Portable. Yeah, portable, definitely.
Probably pole mounted,
Yeah. Pole mounted and
possibly solar.
yeah.
That'd be nice.
Solar's slightly more expensive, but
Yeah.
would probably be worth it.
Excuse me.
I think it'd be real effective to put the sign up, southbound on Wood Street, near Z, and then, have the cops sit a couple of blocks south of that, and the cops could just do what they wanted to do, because, if you were warned, you're speeding, and in the next 2 blocks you didn't slow down, I think that's a pretty good opportunity to,
They really like the parking lot there at Veterans Park, right there at the corner of Wood and 10th. They can park there and walk up to the corner with their little radar gun.
I mean, these devices have been proven effective.
Yes.
Nothing's 100% effective, obviously, but they have been studied and proven somewhat effective.
Kyle, help me with your terminology. Something that's pole mounted sounds to me like it's permanent placement, but you said it'd be portable.
It can be attached to a pole is all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. So not permanently mounted, but we could use an existing pole.
It would just come with attachments to put on a pole.
Did we,
Thank you.
did the city not used to have the pull behind one? I seem to remember it
The city
sitting.
used to have a trailer, and I can't speak to it very much, but I know that Chief Myers has talked about it in the past.
That's my question. Chief, what do you feel about it? You think we need that?
He's on traffic.
I think that probably it would slow traffic down somewhat, because when people see out on the interstate, when they do that,
Oh, yeah.
show your speed. I know Columbia does that because they don't have a traffic enforcement anymore,
Right.
and that probably slows them down a little bit.
Okay.
After a while, people know that it's
Right.
not taking their picture, and
Yeah.
you can get them to take your picture,
I'll be done. Okay.
but
So
it would help for a while.
be a good tool. Okay. Thank you.
So is the one that was portable that I remember seeing around town, is it still in town? Do we
Yes,
still
it's
have
in
it?
town, but the company who got that from back in 03, maybe, 02, they went out of business and we can't get parts for it. And so it's
Yeah.
a large paperweight right now.
Thank you, Chief.
If you approve this, the $5,000 is anticipated to come out of the city council contingency. Thank you very much. So I'd bring that to your attention.
We bought that.
Very good.
How many you buy?
One?
Come on, Steve, it's your money.
One, okay.
He's in charge.
How many you want?
One.
One. Just
I
want
thought
one.
I read, I thought I read in here they was 2,000, or are they 5?
2,000
No.
is for the fire resolution that
Oh.
we'll do later.
That's
Okay,
the other
half
thing,
mixed
yeah.
up. Sorry.
Never mind.
Motion to approve. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Yep, we have a motion and a second.
Yeah, a second.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's cool.
Any further discussion of that motion? Any clarification? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good. Thank you, council. We will proceed with that. Looks like our next item on the agenda is solid waste truck discussion.
JC. He's leaving us in a minute.
Good to see you, JC.
We have a 2012 Freightliner roll-off truck. It's got an international engine in it that they tried to retrofit with a EGR cooler, emissions that would meet the emission system for the new trucks. It didn't work, and there is a class action lawsuit against it right now. It's down in Texas. Our name is in the hat when they get to Missouri on it. And what I'm wanting to do is, we had money for a rear loader, and we found one cheap enough that with the money left over, that we can still get a chassis and maybe have this roll-off moved from one to the other for that amount of money.
Yeah, I read part of that lawsuit that was, that you had in here,
Sounds like a good deal to me.
yeah. Yeah, it does me too.
Is it going to affect the possible class action on it to alter it in any way right now?
Mr. Johnson asked me the same thing if we give up the truck, but here's the thing. I haven't found anybody that wants the truck, so I don't know for sure what we're gonna do with the chassis.
I mean, JC, nobody wants the truck.
They don't want to take it in on trade or nothing.
In a class action lawsuit, what's it gonna amount to when it's all said and done?
Yeah.
Park it on the slab.
Make it a paperweight with the
paperweight.
machine the chief's
Another one
got.
of
I move we accept the change in the financing on the rear loader and use the remaining for a new
I second.
chassis for this roll-off.
I'll second that.
Very good, thank you. I have a motion and second to do what Jeff said. Any further questions?
Do what JC said.
Yeah, whatever, yeah, JC, yeah.
What JC wants?
Yep.
Any further discussion on that?
That's your retirement.
Let's go.
There you go.
He's never going to see
Okay,
it.
very good.
That
Yeah,
is,
he won't be
I'm
here.
sorry.
Go ahead.
That is in the 2018 budget already,
That's
correct?
correct.
The
It has
225.
been
The
approved,
money
the
is-
Right,
225.
perfect. Right, thank you.
And the main reason we're bringing it to you is that we're kind of revamping.
Bargain shopping.
Yeah.
Right.
And you
Okay, very good.
new trucks and
All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay.
Thank
you very
you.
much. Looks like we,
the one new one will come in 2020 or 2019.
Be 2019, we'll be here, I think it said January.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Thanks, JC.
I'm halfway surprised JC knows, seeing as how he's going to be gone.
I know, he's still working, isn't he?
okay, very good. It's now time for council members to bring forth any concerns or matters that are not on the agenda that you'd like to bring forward this evening. Let me just, again, do like we did last time. Anyone who has a concern, just raise your hand and I'll recognize you. Let's start with Ballard. Let's just go.
It's not a concern, it's just, want to thank the Parks and Rec Department and then the Callaway County leadership class. They're working on the basketball courts there in Veterans Park. Doing a really nice job, refurbishing the whole thing, painting it Fulton blue. I didn't know we had a color. But
The flag.
even got in the newspaper on the front page, so that's really good. Thank you.
Oh, you did very good, thank you.
Super. Thank you. Mr. Stone?
Just, I'd like for the park board to consider placing bathrooms at the dog park at the far end of the walking trail.
Okay.
I've talked to Clay about it, mentioned it before, but I've had a couple more people, since the weather's gotten even better, I've had a couple more people mention it, so I'd like for it to be considered. And then the volleyball court that's the sand volleyball court right beside the basketball court it's got a bunch of sticker weeds and stuff that's around it. So anytime you step out of the sand.
Need some cleaning up, yeah.
Didn't at one time we have one of those, what do you call them, portable bathrooms out at the dog park?
Dog park?
No? Okay. I just thought I remembered seeing one in the parking lot out there. Okay. Anybody on this end? Yes. Steve.
I just have one.
Oh, it's John. Go ahead.
I have one that, Southside Auto, it's across from Bartley School. And I know I have not been here, but we're storing cars in that parking lot. It's not like they're working on them or moving them. Their same ones are there. Is there anything that can be done about that?
I believe our health inspector is looking into that.
Well, and it's zone commercial. Part of the problem is not, I don't want to say it's not South Side. The problem is the state of Missouri. We have several places in town that tow cars, end up with cars, and it is very, very difficult for a tow company or a vendor to get title to the car in order for them to dispose of it. What happens is when they tow a car, and they're literally stuck with it. There's nothing, other than like moving it to another location, out of town would be ideal, but there's really nothing they can do with them, because it just takes so long and it's so difficult for them to secure the title. I've had this discussion, I've actually had this discussion with Travis Fitzwater about trying to get the state rules changed a little bit to make it easier. let the police chief or someone from the police department also sign off that the vehicle's been abandoned and it's been sitting here for X number of days or months. But they just nothing they can do with them. Because at some point in time, the owner may come back.
Crushers.
I understand.
Well, you get caught doing that.
Here's your car. Yeah.
Do you have something, Richard?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I've been asked by several people that they were just interested in when the work on 54 is going to start from the state side, if anybody knows
through
anything
town.
about that.
Have they gone out for bid yet?
It's been advertised and bids are due back on the 18th.
Okay.
Of this
So,
month?
the 18th of this month, so
Okay.
probably looking at a month from that before, a contractor would, at least a month before a contractor would start. So you're looking at, June 18th,
I would say
July.
Probably August.
Did they have an estimated timeline, like a year or 6 months? Or
Done before the end of this year.
done
Oh,
before the end of the
okay.
year?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I've also been approached by several people when I'm out walking my dog about the traffic on Herring and Park Ridge, about running too fast. They were interested, they were asking me if there was any chance of getting the speed limit changed. Just throwing that out there,
Okay,
because I was asked.
thank you.
What, 20?
What's the speed limit, do you know?
They didn't say it. Speed limit's 30.
It's 30 now.
There's just one, I think there's one sign as you turn in Herring. And we have a lot of kids.
Would you have the
The
traffic control
neighborhood's
officer?
changed.
See, ours went to 25.
We have a lot of kids
Excuse
on
me.
bicycles playing in the street and riding
course.
bicycles.
That's true.
Sure.
They're just a little concerned that traffic
Right.
can slow down too much.
As closed off as that neighborhood is, I think it's the neighbors. That's
Well,
doing the
it's probably
speeding.
the neighbors. I'm not
I don't think
saying-
you have any through traffic in there.
It's not me.
Okay, Steve?
Well, I have two of them, and one of them is the same thing I've talked to you two about before. I'm still getting complaints from people that think that it's too dark on Westminster Avenue in the evenings, that you do not see the students darting out across the street. And my other one, since we've been working on the streets, I've had about 5 complaints. As you go up Fifth, since you was routing them down there, and you come to Westminster Avenue, if you look to your right where the Fidel House sits, they wanted to know why we couldn't remove those 2 parking spaces at the very end, because you got to pull out in the middle of Westminster to see around the cars for cars going south.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle will put that on the traffic commission discussion.
Okay, that is my only 2 I had.
We're good, thank you. Might as well check with you, Rick.
I'm good.
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Mayor?
come back to Mary.
Yeah, I had one more thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, it's fine. Are we, our health inspector, are we inspecting our salons, our fingernail, where our fingernails are done and stuff?
Those are regulated by the state, the Board of Professional Registration, so we cannot.
So we can't go in and look them
regulate
over
those.
and check for things? Okay, just wanted to know, thank you.
Very good.
But you can call the state and complain.
You
Think
can
I-
do that.
Gave you all a chance, right? Okay, very good. Thank you for your input.
Okay.
We'll now move on to resolution number 3305. This is a resolution authorizing us to enter into a contract for the Scouts cabin heating and cooling project. Councilwoman Reclue, would you please present this for consideration?
Yes, let me get here, okay. Resolution number 3305, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relations to the contract with Sound Mind Real Estate, LLC of Kansas City, Missouri, for the Scout Cabin Heating and Cooling Project, authorizing necessary funds and establishing an effective date. Make a motion that resolution number 3305 to be considered at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Very good. I have a resolution, I have a motion and a second to consider resolution 3305. Is there any questions or discussion of this motion?
Yep.
Steve?
I have a question, not really a question, but earlier Mrs. Gray pointed something out, but we do have a bid process procedure, and you know how many people bid it, whether it's local or not, but it comes in a certain amount of dollar that we've set as a council. So I didn't want anyone to think that we was just picking someone because we know this company or something, so I was just pointing that out. I don't remember what the dollar within the 500 or something, or 1,000, I can't remember, but we do have a procedure we go by, how we determine our bids. So I was just pointing that out.
Let's check with the clerk and see, did we have any local bids? Do you recall?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe we did, and I'm going to defer to Clay. We had 2 bids, I recall.
We did put it out to all the local vendors. We got 2 bids, one from this company out of Kansas City and the other one from a local company. So we had 1 local.
And the company out of Kansas City fell into the guidelines of our bidding procedure?
Steve, I'm not aware of the policy that you were talking about. I can tell you the amounts for both bids if you'd like to hear them.
Yes.
Okay. The Kansas City company was $13,420.
Okay.
And the local company was $14,462.
Okay.
It's also important to mention that we only have $10,000 budgeted for this project.
Yeah.
So both were over budget. Both bids were very similar in what they're offering. There was a difference in the brand that they were offering. Other than that, they were very, very similar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In what you're speaking of, the bid process, Steve, is there anything that benefits any variance for local companies?
No.
No. Good.
I think our line is the best and the cheapest of quality left to the department heads or administration.
Any other comments or questions on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Yeses have it. Thank you. We'll award that. We'll now move on to Resolution 3306, which is a resolution that, what are we doing here? Oh, we're applying for the Community College Grant, Challenge Grant for installation of fishing docks at 3 of our lakes that are ADA compliant. Councilman Stone, if you'd please present Resolution 3306 for consideration.
Presenting Resolution 3306 by title only, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to apply for and sign all necessary documents in relation to the 2018 AARP Community Challenge Grant for the installation of 3 ADA compliant fishing docks and contingent upon receiving said grant monies, approving the city's in-kind and monetary match. I make a motion to adopt this resolution number 3306 at tonight's meeting.
Second.
Very good. Thank you. I have a motion and a second to adopt 3306. Any further discussion or questions?
I got a question about Truman Park. Is there a dock there now?
Both Veterans and Truman have what I would call a handicap fishing area that's accessible to the sidewalks. Both of those are also falling off into the lake. They're getting in bad shape.
The one in Truman has.
Yeah.
So is that,
Veterans
going to get rid of that, or?
We would take those out. We would put these floating docks in the same space.
Okay.
So, and Morningside currently doesn't have anything. Right. And so this would be an addition to Morningside.
Good. Very good. Need one at Morningside.
And I'll go ahead and answer Mrs. Gray's question. You guys have that information, but the monetary match would be about $13,000. The in-kind labor would be about $6,000, and total project cost is about $93,000. So the grant would cover about $75,000.
This is something Clay's been wanting for several years, and it's been continuously cut from the budget.
Yes.
But when he comes and shows you about, 80% money, 75% money,
Yes.
we decided to proceed with it.
And there's an old Morningside kid, it's about 50 years overdue to trying to get a fishing dock down there.
That's cool, yeah. Very good.
Okay, thank you, Clay.
Thanks.
Very good. If there's not any further comments or discussion, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving Resolution 3306, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, no. Okay, very good. Thank you. That's passed. We'll now go to Resolution 3307, which has to do with a firefighter support foundation grant, and we're requesting approval for the application of that. Councilman Simmons, would you please present resolution number 3307?
Resolution number 3307, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri to apply for and sign all necessary documents in relation to the Firefighter Support Foundation grant for the purchase of 2 rescue saws at an estimated value of $2,000 each. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3307 at this council meeting.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Have a motion and second to adopt resolution 3307 or approve it. Any further discussion of the motion? Any questions? Pretty straightforward. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good. Yeses have it.
Yep.
We'll now move on to Resolution 3308, which is a resolution approving a contract for architectural services with the Kansas City firm per the agreement that was in your packet. Councilman Braun, would you please present 3308?
Resolution number 3308, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to execute a contract with SFS Architectural Incorporated of Kansas City, Missouri, and to sign all necessary documents in relationship to the standard form of agreement between the city of Fulton and SFS Architecture and establish an effective date. I make a motion to adopt resolution number 3308 at tonight's council meeting.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and second to adopt 3308. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Sure.
Sure.
Can we get some clarification, Clay? I read it one way, others read it another. Is the $360,000 for both the ballpark and the community center, or just for the community center design?
This contract is just for the community center design.
Okay.
We're asking to use this architect for that design. We believe that for the baseball complex that we can design it and put together the bid package in-house.
In-house, that's what
Can you elaborate on the move from SAP Design to SFF for us, please?
Well, we didn't make much progress with SAP Design for various reasons. We feel pretty confident, we've met with this company several times, we feel pretty confident that they can develop a project that's within our budget. They know our budget, we've talked about it. Some of that confidence comes from the fact that they just recently as maybe a week or two ago, have designed and bid out a project in Columbia that's very similar and also is very close to our price range. So that's something we looked at, and the most attractive thing about this is that it's a flat rate as far as the fee. It's not commission based. So we feel like well, the price is okay. We feel like the price is okay, but we feel like they're going to give us what we want, and it's designed where if at any time we're not happy, we can back out, and then all we owe them is for the work they've done up to that point.
Is there any remediation necessary with that?
No.
No.
Anything that we paid them that they didn't deliver on?
No, we that's all in the past. Yeah.
Okay.
We paid them and we're done with them.
And while it's not contingent on this particular resolution, can you talk to us about kind of a time frame of the two projects between the recreation? There's been some discussion of the...
Yeah, I mean, I provided you a timeline. That timeline has no dates. Obviously, it starts with tonight if you guys say go ahead with SFS. What we'd like to do is get them going over the next 8 weeks, come up with a community center design. In the meantime, we're going to begin work, design work, site plan work on the baseball complex, with the idea that we might do some dirt work, that we'd bring that up to you, obviously, before we move forward with that. But we would do some dirt work, maybe get that site ready for the baseball complex. And
so
then
moving forward on both projects, parallel, kind of...
Until we get a final price on both projects and we can make a more informed decision. Obviously, we're dealing with a budget of between $6 and $6.5 million, and we're trying to get two major projects within that budget. If they don't come within that budget, then we'll have to look at it. The park board will look at it. The council will look at it. We'll make a decision based on those numbers.
Okay.
But I think with the baseball complex side of it, we can do I won't say a lot, but we can do some of it in-house and bring that cost down. And I think it's a project that if we were moving forward with the community center, we could kind of gradually build the baseball complex a piece at a time. So I think there's a lot of discussion to be had, but I think moving forward with that SFS would get us going in the right direction.
Thank you, Clay.
Any other questions, Clay?
Did we? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I got several, so go ahead.
Did we have any money in the budget for design of the community center filled in last year?
No, this will be coming out of the Parks and
Come
Rec
out the whole thing.
portion of the sales tax.
Yeah, that money was paid for. What we did last year was paid for with the Parks and Rec sales tax.
Okay.
Right now, we've got something like $480,000 in that account.
Yes.
So we're looking at taking most of it to pay for this architectural firm to get the drawings. It's not leaving a lot for a ball field to do both projects simultaneously.
No, both of these projects would have to be financed over 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah.
Like City Hall, like City Hall and all that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and one of those documents in there shows you some numbers, shows you how we proposing to pay for it. Again, that's how we kind of came up with the $6.5 million figure. We'd look at financing that over possibly 20 years.
It's on the second to last page.
I don't know, I'm just kind of concerned about trying to do both these major projects at the same time. We've talked before about how the ball fields are supposed to generate revenue. You know, couldn't we just work on the ball fields, get those done, get the revenue coming in from the ball fields, which would help in financing the rec center? And we wouldn't have to take a $6 million loan or whatever number it is. We have to pay all the interest associated with that.
I think you're still going to have to take a loan on the baseball complex. I don't see us paying. I mean, we won't generate enough money in 1 year to pay for that.
To offset that.
Probably won't generate enough money in 1 year 5 years to pay for that. I think we could go either direction the council wants to go. I think where this gets us, it gets to a point where we know how much the projects are going to cost, and we can make a decision from there.
I see.
We can decide we don't have to build either one of them. But I think there's part of the community that wants a new community center, and I think there's a part of the community that wants a baseball complex. And then there's another part of the community that wants a new outdoor aquatic center. And we can't afford all three, so we just have to make some tough decisions.
So in this package that we have, there's the page that has all the different phases in it. And you come down to phase 5 where it actually solicits bids for the construction projects for both of them. And then phase 6 is where it goes to the city council to decide what we're going to do. Is that?
That's, yeah, I mean, that's correct. Once we put these out for bid, we know the community center is going to cost X number of dollars. The baseball complex is going to cost X number of dollars. Can we afford both? I would imagine the park board would take a look at that. We would bring that to the council would take a look at it. And I think that's when you decide, okay, do we proceed with one project, both projects, or no projects?
So how much money are we spending to get to that point?
We'd be at the 380,000. More if we decide to move dirt along the way. Well, what would we be at the 380?
We'd be off, well, less 20%.
Yeah.
Be
We'd be 80%.
300.
Yeah.
But then plus any dirt that we moved.
Yeah. And if we decide to move dirt to start on the ball field, there'd be some cost associated with that.
Does our, do we generate the 419,000 in stormwater tax thing?
You're probably just a little less than $400,000 each a year.
Those were put in separate.
A little less on each. Oh,
Each.
okay.
Each.
Yeah.
Those were separate taxes.
So the 20-year loan's a doable figure.
Based on these numbers.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Based on these numbers, that's a doable project.
And these numbers also include revenue generated by both facilities.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they do. And those numbers are based on, our estimates plus the estimates of Ballard King, who we hired to do the operational analysis. It shows how much the baseball complex is going to make, and it also shows the community center coming close to breaking even, maybe making a little bit.
Clay, what's a very rough guess, and nobody will be held to anything, what's a rough guess on timeline that's going to get us to phase 6?
When you say basics, what?
6 months, a year, 3
Basics.
weeks?
10 months.
3 weeks, what's?
I'd say we'd be 10 months. We'll probably be.
Okay.
It's in the contract.
I'd say you'd be 2 to 4 months with the design. If we're happy with the design and we put it out for bid, you're probably looking at another month or two, and then time to bring it to you all and let you look at it and decide.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd say that's 6 to 10 month range.
Yeah. So it looks like. Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, just another comment, when we look at the priorities, and if we look at doing one project over the other, our current pool has, it's a ticking time bomb right now. It's got a lifespan that's ticking away very quickly. So I'm just making that comment that if we look to do one project over the other, we've got this other thing looming out there that's only got about 3 to 4 years left out of it.
And I agree. And I've been saying 3 or 4 years for
Yeah.
For 3 or
10
4
years.
years.
But we make do
You've
it.
done a great job of limping it along, and we greatly appreciate
Well,
every year that you do that we're able to open it back up.
Yeah, we do our best, but you're right, we're gonna have to address that in the future
It's going to
sometime.
be, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Clay.
I don't know why we couldn't.
Since nobody's saying anything, I will.
Go ahead.
Without any facts of myself to back it up, my feeling is we're going to burn through over $300,000 just at the point of getting to the point of making a decision, which is a lot of what we already have within the stormwater rec center budget for the Parks and Rec Department. I mean, do we want to spend that money just to find out how much everything is going to cost? Or do we want to make a decision to do one project over the other? Do we want to start on a ball field, get the thing done, get the teams coming into play, get the revenue generated from that project, and then turn to working on the rec center? I think financially, trying to do both at the same time is going to be tough. I think trying to do one at a time is better use of our resources and our money. You look like you want to say something.
I disagree.
Okay.
And I'll just repeat what Clay said, and it's what I'm hearing in the community. We've got half the community that wants a rec center, and half the community that wants a ball field. And unless we can get to a point where we can make a decision and inform the community of where we're at and what it's going to cost us to do it, we're risking, displeasing half the community.
No matter what you do, you're going to displease half the community. They don't care how much it's going to cost. The half that want the rec center want the rec center. The half that want the ball fields want the ball fields. The half that want the pool. And I think it's up to us to be, I guess you could say, fiscally responsible with their money to try to do things that they want, but in a responsible manner. And I think doing both projects at the same time is going to be difficult. And that's why I'm recommending we do one at a time. We get them both done, but we get them done, I don't know if you could say cheaper, but and then everybody.
The opportunity that we've gotten is now most of the ball field work is going to be done in-house.
Okay.
So we're not spending that money on an outside.
Well, it's still got to cost.
It's still going to cost.
It's still going to
engineers
cost
money,
It's
and
still going to cost money. But
and then we're going to bid out the landscaping, and we've got fencing to put up, and
Oh, I'm saying the architectural design is what's, we're not going to have that outside cost with that project.
well, I don't think there's much for ball fields. I mean, you've got electrical to run, and you've got piping to run, and
We
but it's
really
more
don't
it's like
have an
grading.
estimated cost on the ball field, do we? I mean, I haven't seen the figures.
A what?
I know what we talked about a year and a half ago.
I think we're looking at probably $2 million on the ball fields. And to your question, Ballard, there's a lot of things that we can't do with the ball field. There's things we can do, but there's a lot of things we can't do. I mean, designing the irrigation and designing the lighting, a lot of that has to be done with people that do that kind of work. And the other thing is, when I say we can do a lot of it in-house, we can, but other things will have to be sacrificed. If we're using the street department, or if we're using the water department or the electric, that means they're not working on other projects.
Right, that's why, even though it's in-house, it's going to cost.
It will. So there will be some cost to that. If we're going to do the community center at all, there is going to be the design cost. I mean, there's no ways around that, because we don't feel comfortable designing that type of facility. If we do the ball complex, again, I'm not at a position, and I don't know if the park board's at a position where they're ready to pick and choose.
Can I ask this question?
Yeah.
We have a YMCA in town. What is the difference between the YMCA and this community center that's being discussed?
Very similar facilities, except that the community is telling us they want more. They want more space. The YMCA is serving a big need in this community, but we've done surveys over the past 10 or 12 years, and people keep telling us this is what we want. We want a new community center. We want a baseball, softball complex. We want a new outdoor pool. We want an indoor pool. Those four. Those are the things that the community wants. As a Parks and Rec department, we don't have any indoor recreational space.
Right.
I mean, we do, but I'm not going to mention their names. They're not very good indoor spaces. But, you know, if you, places to do indoor recreation, the city warehouse, the police department, the fire station, they have more indoor space than the Parks and Rec department.
So I guess just thinking out loud, if we pull from, obviously some of the people that are at the YMCA now would come to the community rec center. What is it going to do to the YMCA here in town? And next thing we know, that building is vacant and there it sits.
Well, I mean, that was a lot of discussion when we were talking about passing the sales tax.
Yes, it was.
But we see competition as a good thing. If both facilities are competing, if they're offering quality programs, quality activities, the community benefits.
And, you know, the oversimplified comment that somebody told me is that they would rather pass a tax that would give this to the entire community than to pay for a membership to the Y. They don't want to pay $500 a year to the Y to get what the Y has. They want the city to have more, and they were willing to pass a sales tax to support that, to have more for generations, rather than just one business, supporting one business.
Also, Kyle, are we going to, have we thought about storm, you know, in our community center, we thought about a safe place?
That's going to be part of the discussion with the architects.
That will be part of the discussion also.
Yeah, we haven't ruled that out.
Okay.
And it's like everything else, every square foot costs, so we gotta.
Of course it does.
We just gotta look at that.
To where you could go safely when there's a storm, yeah.
A storm shelter in Veterans Park would be an ideal situation because you have several schools that are close.
Definitely.
A lot of residential neighborhoods
Very
that are very
good.
close, so.
You're definitely right.
It would definitely, that part of it would definitely benefit the city. And it's something we could use it as a multi-use area where maybe it's a banquet center or maybe it's a basketball gym or something.
And when there's a storm, there you go, it can save some lives.
Yeah.
And there are funds available through different organizations to help with that too.
And the community center is not going to be free, right?
No.
I mean, it's going to cost people to use it.
It will, yeah. And it's just like anything else, like the golf course, it's got to generate some operational revenue. And so we'll do that. We'll try to keep it as affordable as possible, but to keep the thing up and running. Because I don't think the city is ready to take on $400,000 or $500,000 worth of operating expense for a facility. So we need to try to recover some of those.
Well, that would
costs.
tap out the sales tax fund
Right now.
every year, right?
Well, if
If
you're
it wasn't
using,
generating.
Only one facility.
yeah, I mean, if you're using that money for construction costs and it's costing you another $400,000 to operate, then it's gonna
And-
tap into other areas.
And I just don't want either the rec center or the ball complex to turn into another Tanglewood.
Right.
That's why I think we need to look at, doing one, seeing how it performs, what the cash flow requirements are of it before we proceed with the second. That's kind of where I am.
But we're not going to know that until we get a good design on the rec center to know what kind of space is going to be there that we'll be able to generate revenue from.
Well,
You're totally correct.
honestly, you're really not going to know until you have it built and people are coming.
Yeah.
Because what somebody estimates might not be, I mean, somebody estimated we're making lots of money from Tanglewood, and that hasn't worked out.
I understand.
So,
And there's a lot of other things go into it. How you manage the facility, making sure you have all the resources to do it effectively. Same with the baseball complex. If we just try to build 4 fields and we don't market it and we don't promote it, it may not be as successful as what people estimate.
right.
So,
And we can't maintain it, so the fields aren't as nice shape, and people from St. Louis aren't going to want to come play, and, yeah.
like I said, I think what we have to go off now is, we hired a consultant. The consultant gave us an operational analysis. His operational analysis is very similar to what we did in-house, looking at the costs and the revenue and things like that. It's just a matter of now, do we trust that? So, I would trust him more than I trust myself because he has experience working with those types of facilities.
So when the A&E firm comes back with their estimated cost, is that the cost of the structure, or is that the cost of the facility? Which mean, when I mean facility, I mean the electrical that has to get run to it, the water that has to get run to it, the exercise equipment that's going in, all the stuff that makes it a community rec center.
They will include a lot of that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it, like, we're not gonna ask them to pick out the furniture. We
Right,
can
I mean,
do
they're
their
not gonna
stuff.
design it, but they can.
They're gonna tell us what kind of fitness equipment, what type of backboards do we need on a basketball court? What kind of bleachers, if we want bleachers. They're gonna do a lot of that stuff. They're gonna design the utilities within the facility. We would be responsible for getting utilities to the facility, but that's real close, so that's not a big issue. And then how we charge out those those utilities for each one, that's probably a discussion for later on.
If I'm remembering correctly here, Richard, back to your question a minute ago, what our budget is on the ball field. According to this document, 4.5 million is scheduled for this building, for the community center. If I remember correctly, we were looking at supporting 6 million with the bond money, or excuse me,
I think
with sales
that's right.
tax money.
That's
So that'd leave you a budget of
1.5.
1.5.
Yeah.
Or typically 1
That's,
to 1.5.
that's what I remembered,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Then I did have one question here.
Yes.
If I'm figuring and reading all this right, again, 35% of this 380,000 would get us to the point where we'd know what the building looked like.
I'm not looking at that paperwork.
And it's not creating the construction documents. Creating the construction documents is 40% of the total of this thing. So if we got it up to 35%, can't we look at it in-house and have a pretty good idea what it's gonna cost? To know whether or not we wanna go 40% more?
I think they could give us a good estimate, but the estimate they're giving us is 4.5 million. That's their limit. They have to stay within that 4.5 million, because they know we can't build a $7 million facility. So to me, that's the budget. That's what it's gonna cost us. Now, can they get it cheaper and we still be happy with it? That's what we're hoping. We're hoping that they can trim down some of the things that we want, make them a little smaller, and get that price a little bit better.
I was looking for a benchmark to bring it back to council, so they know for sure what we're, try to get a better idea that if we don't want to spend the entire 380,000, how much we can cut it off at.
The city
That's
council
all
will
I'll
have the
do.
opportunity to approve the site plan, the building plan, the design.
Well, that's already, you've already spent the 40%.
Well, before you
get
get
the
to
construction
this is gonna give you, right, 35% will give you a picture.
That's yeah. I don't have that in front of me, but I think that's about right. At any point, we can stop. I would come back with updates and progress reports, and I think at any point, you could stop. Whenever you felt like, okay, this is looking like it's going to be too much, or maybe it's not the direction we want to go. But I think at any point you could stop.
And it could be that we're going to end up with something that's really not going to be acceptable to the community if we go too cheap. You know?
That's true.
And that's my concern.
And that's what we have to balance. I got to bring something to you and the community that they'll be satisfied with, but also fits in that budget. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
When did we decide how much we wanted to spend on it? Did I miss something, or why are we spending 4 million, whatever?
The
What
4 million,
budget within there?
based on the numbers you have in front of you, that 4 to 4.5 million
Right.
includes, it's 4 million for the community center, 2 million for the baseball complex.
Right.
That's what we can afford
At this time.
over 20 years. if we finance that over 20 years. We can make the payment,
Just to get.
and that,
Oh, I see, yeah.
and it includes some revenue that's generated by these two facilities.
Right.
Not a lot, but a little bit. And it also includes setting aside $30,000 a year for some minor park improvements.
Of course. Well, I've visited several of them. I've visited around the state. That's not a lot of money.
$4 billion, no,
That's really not a lot of money.
no.
They're spending $8, $10, $12 million on these facilities in towns this size.
Yeah, but I will tell you that I referenced the one in Columbia. They're doing 42,000 square feet in Columbia
Okay.
for $5 million.
42,000.
So that square footage is about what we've been talking about. We've been in that 40 to 50,000 range for
Really?
a year now.
You think that's what?
And no, we're hoping they give us what we want in a smaller package. That's what we're hoping. But
Well, your Walmart store out here is what, 79?
Well, this is the 151. When we met with them, I think what they're going to do is they're going to come back with, we're talking maybe 45,000 square foot total. They're going to come with like a 30,000 square foot base, and then we'll look at a 10 to 15,000 square foot alternate adder to the overall project,
That's
as
still
long as
not
it keeps us within the budget.
That's not a big building, though. That really isn't.
No, it's not.
So my question is this, is if we're looking at, well, we get to the design phase at 35%, am I figuring it right by that's 1.5 million or almost 1.6 million that would be shelled out or put out by the city?
No.
no, that percentage is the percentage of 360,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa,
Not the total project?
No, that's our payment to the architect.
Yeah, that's just percentage of.
Okay.
Looking
I'm
at the
thinking, wait a second,
timeline-
no, that doesn't make any sense
I
to me.
mean, Clay, looking at your timeline and then looking at their document that's on, I just had it, the page that gave the percentages. To get us to phase 4 is going to cost us $126,000. Because that's the 35%.
Right.
So we've got a contract of 360. To get to phase 4, where SFS and Parks and Rec presents a final design to the park board and the city council, we will have spent $126,000 to get to that.
Just to get there.
Not the full 360, just 126. If at that point we decide we want to move forward and get bids on construction, we'll spend another $144,000 with FSS on that construction document that will go out to bid, find out is it 3.5 million, 4.5 million, whatever that is. So we can stop our contract with FSS after phase 4, after only spending $126,000 with them.
Does these documents let us do that?
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Can we stop?
Yes.
If we get to the end of phase 4.
That question was asked in our last phone conference, and yes,
And yes.
the answer was yes.
And just to like doubly clarify, could we approve the contract as written, contingent upon a clause being placed in the contract that we can put after phase 4?
We can do that.
Termination fee not applicable.
Do you want it as phase or as,
I mean, very clear.
once we meet the percentage levels?
Sir?
Do you want it after a certain phase, or do you want
It'll be
it?
phase 4, after they present their
Okay.
design.
Let me ask a question here, since we're on
Yeah, I
that.
like that.
Is phase 4 design development, or is phase 4 construction documents? Because you have to complete the construction documents in phase 4 to go to solicit bids,
Go to the next one. Yeah.
right?
And
So that's what I'm,
Kyle, you might be able to help me on this. Construction documents would be more detailed plans to get it to go out to bid, correct?
I'm reading that it,
They would bring us a picture, and they would say, this is what it's gonna have, this is what's gonna be in it, this is the size, but the construction documents are all the final documents that would be needed.
Measurements.
If you look at Exhibit A, on page 2, you'll see what construction documents consist of.
okay.
And I'm not saying this 100% because I've read that contract a few times and it's been a while, but I think there's something in it that says we can cancel the contract at any time.
Section 9.7.
And we only owe for work completed.
Correct.
Yes, section
there is
9.7 is termination fee not applicable is what the way it's at right now.
So I think that gets us out of it at any point.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say it does.
I have a question. Is it necessary that we go forward with this now? Why not get the ballpark going? Like Ballard said. Wait a couple, 3 years. I know the city wants their community center. Would we be financially in better shape? We could build something a little bigger, a little bit nicer if we waited a few more years?
No.
Look what 4.5 million will do now compared to 4.5 million in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And let me just add this. If in '07, we could have built that for 2.5 million.
Okay.
That's the comparison where we're. We very similar project for about 2.5 million.
And many of us have been around here. We've been talking about doing something for 20, 30, 40 years, and we kick the can on down the road, and we never quite pull the trigger and get something started. And now we've passed a sales tax, the citizens have spoken.
Right.
They want us to get started on something.
Right.
I think what this does, like I said earlier, I think it lets us make an informed decision. Something that you can go to the public and you can say,
Right.
here's why we're doing this or doing that,
Right.
and here's why we're not doing this. And I think people will understand it. If you ask me right now if I'm ready to pick one or the other, I'm divided. I'm divided. So I don't know that I can make that decision for the community.
And we kind of already know it's going to cost us $4.5 million.
Minimum.
So I mean when we get to that point where we need to make a decision, we already have that number. We don't need the construction documents. We don't need to spend the other $144,000 just to get to a number.
Basically, what they're going to do is tell us what we can get for $4.5 million.
And then we
That's
get
what
to a
this
point
is
where
about.
is it worth it to do this now, or do we need to do the ball fields? Do we need to do something else? Or guess what? We got to do a pool right now. Something, wherever we get to at that point. We already know the big numbers. We just need to decide if it's worth spending that money on what they come up with. And we'll never get there if they never do it.
So if we decide to do both projects at the same time, $7.5 million loan for 20 years, can we even consider building a new pool for $2 to $4 million? Or $5 or whatever?
I think that's something that's going to have to come down the road. And like Jeff said, we may be sitting in a situation a year from now where that pool is done for.
You're done. You can't use it.
And that changes the plans completely.
Whole thing.
I mean, that changes the whole discussion, and we need to come back and decide, okay, do we need to go that direction or continue with the ball complex at the community center? I
To
think
give
it's,
you another perspective of that, I think what we're saying with the sales tax money, we're done. Because that's going to support the $6 million, right?
Right.
So, but it does not mean the council can't decide, because they have other resources, to take it out of operating, your general fund budget.
Right.
Find $2 million to do your pool, if you can do it for two.
and I don't think what we're asking for tonight is for you to decide between either project or decide if we're moving forward two projects. I think what we're asking for is give us an opportunity to get you more information so you can make a better decision on what's best for the community.
I think if we're trying to spend $120,000 to get to the point where we can make a decision is a lot better than spending $300,000 to get to that point.
That's a good way to look at it.
So if we're making the decision at phase 4, whatever phase it is,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're making the decision at phase 4, before they generate the construction documents, and before they go out for bid,
Excuse me.
it's better than too late.
You're going to get another opportunity to approve the bids and the contract for the construction award as well. I mean, it's going to come back to the city council
if we elect to go forward. I mean, if we come back with a $4.5 million building that's
You don't like it.
23,000 square feet, you know, it's,
Then we're able to stop.
yeah.
Then I'm probably gonna stand there and tell you, we probably need to go another direction.
And we've been throwing numbers out, and to run a quick number,
Like that size.
even if we borrowed $7.5 million today, at 20 years, at 6%, that's only an annual mortgage payment of about $55,000.
Monthly.
No, yeah, monthly.
No.
Monthly.
Yeah, monthly.
Monthly, yeah. It's 400 and something on
Yeah.
6.2.
So I mean, that's where we're gonna be if we borrow everything all at once now.
Right.
Still a lot.
Yeah.
But you also need to keep in mind, the $400,000 that the tax is earning now may be $600,000 in 3 years.
Hope so.
Or it could be 200,000.
Yes.
Could be
course.
too.
It could go, well, let's just hope it doesn't go that way.
Right.
But there's this, all we're working on is the numbers we have today.
Right. That's all we can do.
And this is a resolution to decide whether or not we're going to allow them to give us an idea or a picture of what a community center is going to look like. It has nothing to do with deciding which one we're going to do first, which one we're going to do now, or which one we're going to do tomorrow. This has to do with just deciding whether or not we're going to get an idea of what a community center would look like for $4.5 million. So we need to stay on topic here.
But it's, there's
No,
a
but
difference.
that's what the
let me
resolution
finish.
is.
There's a difference, like I said before, between spending $125,000 to get to that, or to get to that decision.
Which we've already
versus-
come to the conclusion
versus
that's what we
300,000.
can do, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Clay, I thank you for clarifying for me personally, knowing that 360,000 isn't the number, it's by the phase. So I appreciate that clarity.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And that makes a big difference to me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, sounds to me like we're about ready to vote. So, is there any, I'll give you one more question. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving resolution number 3308, please signify by saying yes.
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 All those opposed, no. Yeses have it. Okay, so we'll get going now.
Then we can decide.
Thank you, Clay. Okay.
I feel better about that.
Let's go to ordinances. We have one ordinance.
This,
Bill number 1500 is for second reading. Councilman Shiverdecker, would you please present it, second reading, title only?
Yes, sir. Bill number 1500, an ordinance repealing Chapter 46, Environment of the Code of the City of Fulton, Missouri, enacting a new chapter in lieu thereof, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion that Bill number 1500 be advanced.
Third reading?
Yeah, for third reading at our next council meeting. Thank you.
Second.
Is it possible for us to do it at tonight's meeting?
No, I want to advance it to the next council meeting.
Okay.
Very good.
Could I have a question? Mayor?
Are there any, we're open for questions or discussion of the motion?
This is the one we've been talking about on, that the lawyers worked on
Nuisance privately,
for
yeah.
housing and such?
That's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, this is the one that was written by the lawyers.
yeah, this is a biggie.
My question was, after reading this, is that I'm back to my same argument I used to have with Mr. Hudson. Is there any way in this, or Mr. Riley might say we can't, that we can put in that on firehouses that we retain for insurance company and the individual owner, to let them know that in our ordinance it's in writing that those insurance companies that hold back a portion for fire homes?
I'm thinking we already have that in a different ordinance, right?
That's what I was thinking.
We'll
Fire-
look into that.
fire-
We can look into
not
that.
Insurance?
Yeah.
Well, in talking to a few of them, they act like when they brokers in town, most of them are, they pass it on to the companies and they don't know what is held back or not. So somehow I think we have to get them known that that is one of our laws.
Yeah. Okay. We'll review that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, let me call for the question. All those in favor of advancing bill number 1500, please signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed, no. Very good.
Y'all ready?
1500 advances. Thank you.
Okay.
Under announcements, next meeting is the 22nd. Annual elected officials training will be 7th and 8th over in Columbia. If you're interested in going that, please contact city clerk. And
Are we definitely having a special invite meeting on the 23rd? Is that meeting definitely being held? That was discussed at the last meeting.
on June 3rd, or June 7th?
June 7th.
7th, that
Yeah,
evening.
June 7th.
It's June 7th, right?
We're
No,
planning
the
on.
evening meeting on.
We are not going to the Central Division meeting on the 23rd.
Okay,
Okay, then yeah, I had my.
okay.
It's a long drive.
But the June 7th meeting
The
with
June,
the
Still in the
school board
works.
is
Yeah.
still.
Still in the works.
June 7 meeting is still on tap at this point.
Yes.
Okay. I'd just like to put out kudos to all those involved in the picnic, our safety meeting, and congratulations to Carl Stasel again. It was a good meeting, good meeting, and also a better picnic. So, and we again appreciate all the efforts that went into that. So, thank you very much. I do not have a need for an executive session.
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion second for adjournment. All those in favor, signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Yes.